Well, good morning, traders. It's Thomas Ryan again, and I'm back to give you another quick video here, a little bit on TC2000 and a little bit on a trade that I'm looking at. I don't know if we're going to put this in the letter or not, but I've had questions raised from a subscriber about a little bit more about how we do this and particularly indicators that we use. So I thought I would take a look just real quick at this trade that I'm personally in this trade right now. This is designed to be a day trade today. Today is the 17th of November, and we're approaching the end of the trading day. It's about 3 o'clock in the afternoon here on the East Coast of the United States. And this is Rockwell Automation. So here's my very familiar screen that I know you've all seen many times. And I'm looking particularly right now, and since this would be a day trade and is currently a small day trade for me personally, I'm going to walk through some of the steps that I'm looking for right now in our counter trading environment. We are really stuck in a range, as you can see up here today. Totally flat market today. We had Janet Yellen speaking today. The market has not moved at all. So, we're really looking for a needle in a haystack on a day like today. Very difficult to find winning trades. And the market, of course, take a quick look here. The market, we had this big thing here after Trump, but for the most part, we've been dealing with this for the better part of 2 years. A more or less horizontal market with a couple of these little dips. This market really should have turned with this, but it hasn't. It's fighting it. Maybe the forces that be are keeping it high. Who knows? We've had this Trump run up here now, and it's starting to come to an end. How do we know that? Look at the narrowing of the bars. Big bar, big bar, big bar, narrow, narrow, narrow. The bars are narrowing, so the momentum is fading. Next thing we look at is the volume. Volume also in decline now. I'm just looking at the overall market, the Dow. Volume on the Dow declining as we reach the top of this big move. So this is a potentially great setup for shorts, right? We've had a huge run up. We may not get a long-term trend, but we're going to get some kind of pullback out of this more than likely. We're above all these moving averages. The bars are narrowing and the volume is fading. We look at some of the indicators, of course, we see the same thing. All stochastics, RSI, MACD histogram, all these things all starting to turn. So the question is, would we trade something short in here? And the answer is, yeah, potentially we would. I don't know that you could say we're in for necessarily a complete turn in the trend, but certainly we're set up for a couple of good shorts that must be out there somewhere. So we'll go back to Rockwell Automation. Oops, R-O-K. Rockwell Automation. So here we see the same pattern as many of the stocks are in right now. Everything is up. We've had this big Trump run up, and we see a big red bar coming in today. And sure enough, we've had this going on today. The market is falling. I got short on the stock right about here for a small position. Took a little bit of a bounce back higher here, and now it's down here. So I'm going to make a couple of bucks on this today. Nothing much. But the reason that I'm doing this is to show you some of the things that I would look for in most all of the counter trends that we're doing right now. Again, we're doing counter trends because the market's got no trend. Yes, we had this. I don't know if I'd call that a trend or not, but that's, whatever, 5, 6, 7 days of a run up here. We went long. Most of our positions the last few days have been long, taking advantage of this, and we've been profitable and had a nice return here for the last 3 or 4 weeks on this. So the question is, can we keep doing that? We're full up with longs right now. We'll see. I don't know if we're going to put anything more long in the letter tonight. But the reason that I would be looking at this short, and we may look at more shorts for tomorrow and the early part of next week, is that all of these factors. So let's look at it. 5, 6, 7 days up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 days up. Stalled out at the top. Above all the averages. Declining volume. The trend is fading. The move is fading. Our MACD histogram turning down. Stochastics, RSIs, all overbought. This is a shorter term stochastic, the 5 period. I keep both of these on my chart. I tend to look more at the 14 these days, but I look for these sometimes if I'm looking for short term movements. But this is the stochastic has crossed. So it's crossed above the 70-80 line here. So, in theory, this is a setup for a downturn. What other factor would you use to separate this out from other possible trades? Well, we look at the higher time frames, and those would be the tiebreakers for me. So, and I would look at indicators in the higher time frames. We see a long-term decline in the volume, but we see this going on with the MACD. It's not really perfect, but you see an imperfect MACD. It's certainly not straight up. The trend is not straight up. It's a range trend. Maybe you could say even there's a head and shoulders forming in here. Shoulder, head, shoulder, maybe. Then on the really higher monthly time frame, you see this kind of what should be a perfect setup. Top, top, double top. Maybe head and shoulders, double top. This is not really a classic head and shoulders, but 3 tops right here and a MACD that is in divergence on the higher time frame. So in theory, if this thing makes a move, it could be set up for a better move, a bigger, longer move. Now, the only thing that's missing on this that I really don't like, and you see, by the way, this going on here, which is now as I'm doing this, is starting to kind of get a little problematic. Here is a descending, call it descending wedge. You see how the stock is wedging itself down into this. Draw a little picture here for everybody. So we see today, this is today, the stock is doing this, and the stock is doing this. Got to do this again. So we see a descending triangle. It's not a descending wedge, it's a descending triangle. So typically a descending triangle like that, once it breaks down here, it's going to go down. And it should go down because it's so far up. This MACD right here on the hourly, completely in a divergence. So, all the factors are here that this should be set up for a successful fall of some kind or another. Am I going to do it today? We'll see. This thing is starting to move the wrong way here now. But those are the factors that I would look for. A whole collection of indicators, but most importantly, the stock is well above its moving averages. It's gotten a little too close to these moving averages. I don't love that. I wish these things had stayed lower and that you had more margin for error. The trend is going to be a big factor in where a stock goes. All these trend lines. You got all these algos on Wall Street. They're all being driven by trend lines. And if a stock crosses a trend or it's too close to a trend, a lot of the algos are not going to act on this. You're not going to get a momentum move out of the stock. But we shall see. It's going to stall out here today probably, and in fact it's starting to go the wrong way. So anyway, that's just a walkthrough. And again, nothing is ever perfect. If it was 100%, I'd be a billionaire. You'd all be billionaires. There's no such thing as 100%. Some of the best guys on Wall Street have 60% win rates. That's about as good as they get. We're doing a little bit better than that right now, I think, especially in the last few weeks. But overall, as you can see on my charts, yeah, you know what? It's been a really tough year. But we are back profitable now on the daily trades. And if you'd like to come get a free 30-day trial, no obligation. We take no email addresses on the we take no credit cards on the trial. Come on in and join us if you like. You just put in your name and your email address and you're good for 30 days, no charge. I hope that's helpful to everybody. And come on, check out a free trial. Give us a try. See you.